Warning. If we can start to find our seats, please. 2-minute warning. All right, if everybody could please find their seats. All righty, thank you all for finding your seats. We're about halfway through the graduate division of this 2023 McGinnis Venture Competition. We have 6 more teams. As you've seen, the quality has been incredibly high. It's going to be a really tough job on these judges up here in the front. We'll introduce you to all the judges later tonight at the awards ceremony. If you're not aware of when that is, it's at 5:30 here in the Sports Center. We will empty the room at 5 o'clock, ask you to go explore the building, explore campus, and come back for the award ceremony. That will start promptly at 5:30. You might want to try to meet with these guys after the show, but they're not going to be here. They're going to be at my house helping me fix some of my problems. So without further ado, let's welcome HiredHome.
Hi, I'm James Bucky. This is Kelsey Orndorff, Kevin Orndorff, and Derek Luke, and we are the HiredHome team, property management for your home. In April of 2022, at 2 a.m. I was asleep, like many are. My 4-month-old daughter was sleeping a few feet from me. My wife pokes me in the arm and says, "James, our ceiling is leaking." And I mean a leak, not a dribble, right onto her as she was sleeping there. We own our home, and I was laying there thinking, how am I going to fix this? So the next day, I woke up, I spent hours getting quotes on Angie's List for someone to come fix our roof, and hours because our dryer had broken the night before, obviously, and went all around the Pittsburgh area looking for replacement parts. Thankfully, I got it all done just in the nick of time for our in-laws to visit that weekend. If you're a homeowner, I'm sure you can think of a time that sounds something like this, because the average homeowner spends 14 hours a month managing other people doing work to their house, whether planned or unplanned, or just doing it themselves. That's where HiredHome comes in. We want to simplify your life. We are a property management app that you can download to your phone with a mobile-first experience to handle all your jobs, big or small, planned or unplanned, and we do it while we support local vendors who want to do great work in their community.
There are valuable customers right here in Middle America. I'm sure each of you have something in your life that you value doing, or maybe you have a family member or friend like Jared, Rebecca, or Tom or Liz, and that they value doing other things or going on adventures than doing work on their home. People are increasingly willing to spend or trade their money for their time. HiredHome will be operating as a hybrid business model, with HiredHome being the intermediary between the homeowners and the vendors or contractors. Homeowners will be paying a monthly subscription fee, which will be our main source of revenue, and the vendors will have a low-cost referral fee. HiredHome will not only get you the contractor to handle your job, but we will also offer support, take responsibility for the scheduling and coordinating of that job, and handle the payments. Angie, Home Advisor, or even referrals from family and friends will only get you the contact to the contractor and will certainly not take that responsibility of the process from start to end.
So you may be asking, where's our supply coming from? And there's one thing I want you to take away. We are the better partner for contractors. We are stepping in and handling the end-to-end communication from providing the leads, and really we are providing referrals. Contractors will only pay us if they book a job, unlike our competitors who are charging contractors per lead, anywhere from $10 to over $300 per individual lead that they may or may not even get in their bidding against other people. We are making it easy on contractors to allow them to do what they do best.
So this adds up to a huge opportunity. Our total addressable market is $59 billion. And we believe we can acquire customers for a reasonable amount, but these customers are valuable customers because from our conversations with homeowners, this pain is acute and immediate, as many homeowners in this room, I'm sure, understand. What we've done to date is conducted initial customer discovery with 25 homeowners and 9 vendors. We've worked on this for over 6 months in our graduate entrepreneurship coursework here at Tepper. We have an MVP website with the QR code available at the beginning and end of the presentation, an onboarding, and a basic MVP product. We've also been accepted into Project Olympus. What we're really excited about, though, is what's upcoming. At the end of this quarter, we're launching a beta in 2 neighborhoods in Pittsburgh, Roslyn Farms in the north side, and then we're looking forward to a full Pittsburgh launch in the very beginning of 2024. So we know our target customers because we are our target customers, but we are also a great cross-functional team. We know customer operations. We manage rental units in the Pittsburgh market, so we already have existing vendor relationships here. We have a chief legal officer as a co-founder, so we can handle a lot of this within house from day one. And we have a licensed contractor as a co-founder as well. So our beta will get us so far and will allow us to refine our product. But in order to scale up and service all of Pittsburgh, we'll need approximately $1.5 million in order to develop a more scalable app, actually go and acquire these customers, and refine our operations. We are the HiredHome team, and I know it's your time and your home, but it's our priority. Scan the QR code to join the beta or stay in tune for what comes up next.
Can you talk about the experience as the homeowner?
Yeah.
So they're going to use your app. They're going to get a referral. Are they getting a singular referral to a singular category? Let's say it's a carpenter. Are they getting more than one carpenter to choose from? And in this answer, can you please help me understand the difference between a referral and a lead?
Yeah, okay, so there's 2 questions there. I'm gonna address the second one first, if that's okay. Kevin, do you wanna talk a little bit about, because you're the expert here, lead versus referral, just real quick?
So generally a lead, our competitors will basically send out your job. You'd come to us and say, hey, I have this thing that needs done. Our competitors blast out to like 10, 15 contractors. So they will all reach out to you individually and say like, hey, what's going on? What we are going to do is we will have contractors that are onboarded into our system. We'll have SLA sets up, and they will have a first right of refusal for normal maintenance jobs and a shorter one for emergency jobs where they can say, yes, I'm taking this or bidding on this, or no, and we will pass it along to the next one in the ranked list.
Yes, so the first part of your question, talking about the customer experience. So if you submit a request through the app, or if you prefer a more synchronous channel, right, like a text message or a phone call, we go out, we make sure either if we need to triage the issue, we can go to the site, or if you know what you need, we then go to our list of vendors. We have an algorithm that allows us to choose who does a good quality job, who can do it quick, who has done good work, and pair you with them. Because we can do this at scale and we can make sure that you're getting a fair price, and we represent the homeowner. We're not trying to profit, unlike competitors, off of contractors, so there's no incentive for us to really overcharge a homeowner on a job. Does that answer your question? Does that help provide context?
So for a carpenter, am I getting referrals to 3 or 1?
1.
1.
You mentioned we'll take responsibility. Can you explain what that means? And also explain what your staff interaction with me personally, not through the app, might be, and also through the app.
Yeah, so it sounds like the customer, again, kind of this customer experience of what are you actually getting when you sign up as a member? Kelsey, yeah.
Yeah, so the responsibility and why we chose that word is really we want it to be off of your to-do list. So if something comes up, you send either a message or a text and say, I have this project. We then are the driving force to completion. So we will be reaching out with what does your schedule allow? Here's the contractor quote. Here is when the contractor can be there. Here is when the contractor is running on time. It's complete. Have you done a walkthrough? Payment is complete. Close out the job. So when we say responsibility, it's really we are the one driving the process.
You can do that with an app, try to, or you can do it with a person. I just wonder, staffing and what you.
Right, so we're offering like an omni-channel servicing experience. So you can do it through the app, you can do it through a synchronous channel. If it's something that requires like an on-site visit, it would be a member of our staff, likely Kevin. If you're in the North Side or Roslyn Farms neighborhood and you want to participate, please do. But it would be one of us from the HiredHome staff coming to help triage and make sure that the contractor, whether it's a third party, is doing the work well. Is that helpful? Okay.
Yeah, I don't mean to be hogging the questions. Let me answer one. But how does the person know what they're really going to bid on? Because I say I have a leaky faucet, that might be easy, but the roof, it wouldn't. He would have to come out, survey, et cetera.
Right, Kevin, do you want to?
So this is something that's really job to job. So there are things like toilets leaking. We can tell that to any plumber, and any plumber can come and give a general ballpark estimate. There are going to be jobs where we're going to have to work with the homeowner to coordinate several visits to the house, and that's just kind of the nature of working with these various contractors. But we would handle the scheduling with them, the communication to set this up, make sure it's okay with you, and depending your preferences, we could go to the house while you are there, aren't there, through a lockbox service. There are various ways we can do this, and it's really up to the owner's preference.
Forgive me if you explained this, but I'm curious about the revenue model. You talked about taking a piece from the contractor, but there was also the membership piece. So how's the split? Who's paying?
Yeah, that's a great question. So membership revenue is our primary source of revenue. For the contractors, because we're acting as we're handling that payment processor role as well, it's really to cover those costs, right? And that's the level of transparency we want to bring to contractors to say, currently they're the product. The consumer demand is the product. They're selling to contractors who are trying to bid it up. We're counter-positioning ourselves to that to say, we want to be a partner to you, do good work for our members who are paying us for that trusted service.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great job, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
We mentioned events that are happening here this week, and hopefully some of you will be able to attend those. We have the Family Business Speaker Series tomorrow at 12:30. Emily Sheets right here. On Thursday, we have the Corporate Startup Lab Healthcare Forum at 4 p.m. down in Simmons Auditorium. We have the Energy Week reception here in the Schwartz Center, I think at 4:30. But to help you get something on your schedule about a month out, Project Olympus is holding like their 15th or 16th annual show and tell. 22nd. Oh, that's because you had multiple ones in multiple years. Yeah. It's over 15 years they've done 22. There you go. These show and tells, and it'll be held at 4 p.m. on Thursday, April 13th, right here in the Schwartz Center. So get your phones out, look ahead on your calendar, put a marker down there so that you can come to Project Olympus show and tell. Our next contestant in the new prices, right? In the McGinnis Venture competition is MitoAI. It's what happens when you have artificial intelligence and a robotic system sort of meet a biological cell to get automated cell cultures moving.
Hi. Oh, sorry. How does this? Hi, my name is Bindali.
And I'm Xinyu Wan.
And we are MitoAI, trying to make cell culture easier than ever. So why do we need to culture cells? A cell is the smallest unit of life that makes up all living organisms. It is an essential tool for research and development in the life science industry for research such as genetic therapy, tissue engineering, cell therapy, and also a modeling system for drug development. However, culturing cells can be a challenging task. As a PhD student myself, I have gotten sick and tired of culturing cells every day. It is time-consuming and physical demanding. And cells are like a baby that you have to keep babysitting them to make sure they are happy and healthy. And with human operation, contamination can often occur, which can be very costly for research. And all of this contributing to a low scalability of cell production, which makes the cell production very slow for research purposes.
Therefore, we introduced MitoAI, an AI-manipulated robotic system that has real-time cell monitoring and automated liquid handling in a sterile environment. This human-free automation solution enables scientists to improve scalability and efficiency in cell culturing. Our auto incubator allows control of CO2 temperature and humidity, and the real-time cell monitor enables the scientists to keep track of the cell confluency and cell health. The cell container is then delivered to the robotic operation by the transportation system. Our robotic operator is good at handling various flasks, pipettes, and reagents. This all-in-one system also provides a consumable storage and a centrifuge system for cell separation. To minimize the contamination, our system is fully enclosed and has a HEPA filter. Meanwhile, we also allow easy access to the interior for maintenances. This is our workflow. The data acquisition happens in the incubator, and the AI makes the decision on when is the best time to passage the cell and change media. It then delivers the cell container to the robotic manipulator for robotic operations.
Through customer discovery, we have found a gap in the market for research-oriented cell culture. Research labs in the industry and academia, they culture cells for research purposes, so they do not need a high-cost, large-scale, manufacturer-oriented cell culture systems. Currently, research associate and PhD student like me culturing the cells in the lab, which can be done more efficiently with a robotic system. After interviewing customers, including university lab PIs, directors, and scientists from pharma and biotech companies like Pfizer and Cytokinetics, we have found over 90% of these customers expressed a strong interest and willingness to pay for our solution. Therefore, we will be target and direct selling the robotic system to the research labs, initially targeting the industry customers, because they have a bigger budget and more willingness to adapt to new technology. The cell culture market is expected to reach over $67 billion by 2023 and growing at a CAGR of almost 13%. And we estimate around 10% of this market to be our serviceable market. MitoAI is specifically designed for cell culturing, setting it apart from other liquid handling devices. With AI technology, MitoAI can satisfy the need of different cell types, ensuring the best timing for cell culturing, similar to a 24/7 human supervision. High-end devices like Hamilton and Beckman Coulter, they cost around $100K to $1 million or more, and you cannot achieve cell culture under $800K. Low-end devices like OpenTrons cost around $10K, but you cannot achieve cell culture at all. So with high compatibility, easy operation, and low cost, we're at a strong position in this market. We pricing our unit with $50K per unit, and around $17K is the cost for production. This price, $50K, is comparable to hiring a research associate dedicated to cell culture, except MitoAI can work continuously. Based on customer research, we estimate around 20 units sales for the first year, 100 units for the second, and 500 for the third. Our next steps including finish the design and the patent application, software and hardware development using available resources at SMU, conducting testing, and going through regulation. And we aim to launch the product by the end of 2024, funding through non-dilutive grant and prizes. For example, we're going to Texas for the final competition of Draper Data Science competition at University of Texas.
We plan to use 40% of our funds for robotic system development, 25%, 20% for legal consultation and patent application, and the rest of the funds for AI model optimization and implementation.
So this is our team. I'm a PhD student in biomedical engineering, conducting research in cell therapy. Jinyu is a master's student in robotics with over 5 years of experience in robotic and AI development. We also have a team of mentors with technical and business background, and we would like to have your support as well. Thank you.
Given that you save time in this process, do you have any way to quantify what that might be? Because when you look at the billions of dollars of R&D spent by big pharma, that could be a really compelling number.
Yeah. So, for example, if we just look at contamination, for NIH-funded research, the cost due to contamination per year is over $300 million. So that is one way we can quantify, is to reduce the contamination, reduce the time you repeat the research, for example, an experiment, or reduce the time that you culture the cells. And for example, if I want a liter of cells, how long would that be? With the robotic system, the human intervention would be minimal, but without the robotic system, the human intervention would be hours and hours, and that hour can be a quantification for that as well.
Which also affects time to market.
I'm sorry?
Which also could affect time to market for them.
Exactly,
Okay.
the research progress, exactly.
With your initial market at the research labs, how would they pay for this? Because I know for the grad students, I think that comes from grant funding that they get. Is there funds, or do they have flexibility to use those funds or write that into their proposals? Basically, how does it get paid for?
Yeah. So the PIs usually would write the check. So the PI would decide if they would need to buy this system. So for example, my PI, Dr. Phil Campbell, he used to have a technical lab technician specifically for cell culturing, and he pays him around 40K, a little bit over, a little bit less than 40K per year, just for cell culturing. And so that's how, if we have the robotic system, we can be alternative to a lab technician in that case.
I'm curious, you mentioned your competitors are 5-10 times more expensive, and I'm curious, what is the secret sauce that allows you to do what they can't do, but it's so much lower cost?
Yeah.
And have you built one to prove that, this works?
That's a great question. So the reason that they are so high cost is because they're trying to do everything. So these high-end devices, they have all this, they designed specifically for assays, not for cell culturing. So they have a lot of robotic systems to control the liquid for assay only, but we are made for cell culturing. So initially we made for different reasons. So some of them, if you add enough module system into it, they can achieve cell culture, but they were never made for cell culture. So we are just made for this simple task, just cell culture. So initial cost is already low.
Can you talk about the 10% of market share that you highlighted? Is that because it was a guesstimate? That's what you just figured you would, or is it specific around what you're doing now, meaning can you pivot to capture other pieces of the market?
Yeah, good question. So for that over 67 billion USD cell culture market, a lot of them is also consumables. So for us to specifically targeting as a laboratory automation or liquid handling devices, our market is kind of a smaller than the whole. The cell culture market is an umbrella that we are part of that umbrella. So for us to capture part of that liquid handling and automated cell culture device, our market is around 10%.
But can you take what you have now and pivot it to potentially get others, or is it just, not that that's not big enough, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, so right now we're just focusing on cell culture, but down the road, I think with the robotic system, we can also pivot to other applications as well. Yeah.
So you mentioned that cell culturing is very tedious and physically demanding. And are there other problems being solved? Are there not enough cells being cultured? Is there a shortage in cells being cultured?
Yes.
Yeah, and what is the real innovation that you're bringing here? Is it the transferring of moving parts around, samples around, and so on? Is that like where is the real improvement?
Yeah, so the improvement here is we can use the AI to kind of replace the human in this process. So right now we do not have enough cells for a lot of research applications. For example, Dr. Feinberg's lab is doing the 3D printing of a heart. And for 3D printing a tissue, you need to have enough cells. Right now, the kind of a main challenge for 3D printing of a tissue is that we do not have enough cells. So a lot of their graduate students culturing cells day and night, a lot of flasks. So this has a lot of human labor has to put in, and you do not have that much efficiency. For example, one customer we interviewed from Pfizer, who's a director, graduated from MIT, said her graduating class at MIT, 20% of them have stress injury. So we use AI as a replacement for human to conduct this simple repetitive task. So that's where our innovation comes from.
Is this product, as you've designed it, directly sellable to the alternative meat market, the culture cultured meat market?
Oh, that's actually a great idea. We actually didn't thought of it, but initially we were thinking about using this robotic system to connect to 3D printers, to other type of automation to build a whole high throughput from cell culturing to cell printing to tissue engineering. So that is a throughput, but I think that alternative meat can also be an application for future application. Yeah.
We're about out of time, so we'll just cut it off right there. Thank you very much. Great job. So the stakes are really high for these teams because the top 3 winners, the Swartz Center actually invests in these companies. We invest in the form of a simple agreement for future equity. The first place team wins $25,000 investment, second place $15,000 investment, third place $10,000 investment. And I see a lot of people from the community here that might be thinking, how do I get to invest in one of these companies? And we've actually solved that problem with you. We have an organization called 99 Tartans. It's CMU alumni investing in CMU founders. We've extended that to friends of CMU. Craig Setter over here is one of our friends of CMU, has been an active participant in 99 Tartans. And sitting right in front of him with the ugly Michigan State Spartans hat is Chris Elston, who has been the MBA partner, lead MBA partner on 99 Tartans. So if you're interested at all in investing in any of these companies that you've seen today, please see Chris. And if at the award ceremony tonight, if there are other 99 Tartans in the audience, we'll introduce you to them so you can learn about the process and participate. Let's face it, parking sucks at CMU. These guys are solving it.
Hi, I'm Adam Knapp. And I'm Simon Knapp. And we're the co-founders of Parkor. We're aimed to disrupt the parking industry by creating the alternative to traditional parking. So down at Fort Bragg, my chief concern when it came to parking was wind speed. But needless to say, most drivers don't have to worry about dropping their car from an airplane. So when I came to CMU, I found out the first thing about city living is parking sucks. And asking around, a lot of people agree. In fact, on average, drivers spend 17 hours a year looking for parking. And in some cities, that number can jump closer to 100. So initially I thought, oh, we just need more spots. But I was surprised to learn that over 70% of urban land is dedicated to parking. So where are these spots? Who has them? So it's private firms like grocery stores, apartment complexes, hotels, churches, other small businesses. A lot of these firms have excess parking capacity, and after 16 interviews, I found that they struggle to manage their lots. So we created Parkor to help them do that.
Meet Rick, a local church leader in Pittsburgh. His church has a moderate-sized parking lot with 40 spaces, and when he has events, he needs every single one of them. But for day-to-day operations, he only needs a few. Currently, random drivers park in his lot, but Rick doesn't have time to identify and remove them. Rick's church cannot afford traditional parking management systems. This is where Parkor steps in. We enable Rick to schedule his lot requirements and rent out his excess capacity. When he needs his lot, we ensure he has it with our AI, parking enforcement, and dynamic control. With Parkor, Rick's lot changes from a liability to an asset.
Meet Susan. She loves to go to a restaurant by Rick's church, but always struggles to find parking. Off-street parking is not there, and on-street parking really isn't viable for her. So she sees a sign advertising parking at Rick's church and decides to park there. So there in the lot, she sees a QR code. She pays for parking, specifies the amount of time that she wants to park there, and pays there right in the app. When she gets to the restaurant, she finds out that they're partnering with Parkor to enable both their customers and their employees find parking, and that they're able to access these spots and their availability right there in Parkor's marketplace. We initially plan on using a mixed pricing strategy. Our revenue-based approach will take 30 to 50% of lot revenues, with our subscription-based service taking between $2 and $10, but additional testing needs to be done to refine this strategy. We initially planned to target churches because of their inability to adopt traditional parking management, their consistent lot requirements, and the financial strain they've been experiencing recently. So from our calculations, we'll be able to capture about 3% of the over 300,000 urban churches, translating to about 10,000 lots across the United States. This will enable our company to become a national parking brand dedicated to safety, convenience, and price. The parking market is primed for disruption, with the U.S. parking management market at around $900 million and growing 11% annually. Parkor, we're aiming to create new and unlocking new locations to expand this number further.
Parkor has competition developing traction in several US cities with solutions built for commercial parking providers. We will eventually seek to disrupt them from these traditional parking options, but our primary focus is to unlock new parking from non-traditional firms seeking to sell excess capacity. Our competitors lack hardware systems that can be deployed at scale and enable these firms to dynamically control and enforce their lots. Physical lot requirements set by local municipalities present an additional barrier for our competitors to target these non-traditional firms. So what about Parkor? We pair hardware and software to give the hosts the power of traditional parking management with the flexibility they need to run their firms. With our solution, we're enabling them to protect their lots, find and penalize illegal parking, and overcome the hurdles to sell that excess capacity. Where our competitors offer tools to assist in parking management, Parkor offers a comprehensive parking solution that lets our hosts use their lots exactly how they want to. Parkor's team and mentors are primed to handle this problem and are ready to grow our company with our technical backgrounds and experience in dynamic operations.
We're excited for the work ahead and the opportunity to continue to work with our customers. So looking forward over the next 3 months, we have 3 priorities that we're going to be looking at: traction, team building, product development, and our first pilots. So for traction, we have our first signed letter of intent and are pursuing more to help iterate on our product, and we've developed our landing page to start building our customer segment on the driver side. For team building, we're looking to grow our team to allow us to increase our host and driver engagement, grow our marketing potential in marketing segments, and to increase our industry actually in the experience in the industry. In product development, we are testing our UIs on potential customers. We're refining our hardware solutions for our first pilot, and we're continuing our customer discovery process with the Project Olympus programs. We're excited for our pilots and the funding necessary to conduct them. Our ask for the McGinnis competition is for $25,000 to conduct our second and third pilots. We're excited for the work ahead and our opportunity to launch our first pilot this summer, and for the opportunity to go and capture 125 lots, translating to $300,000 of monthly revenue by the end of 3 years. We're Parkor, a parking management company aimed to disrupt the parking industry and create the alternative to traditional parking. Thank you.
So I get the use case, but just walk me through logistically. So I'm in Lawrenceville, which is horrible, nowhere to park.
Yeah.
What happens? What am I doing?
So
if I'm a customer.
There's 2 ways people find parking nowadays. There's the growing market of online finding lots, but a lot of people still find lots analog through signs. So you're driving down Butler Street, you see a road front sign, and when that sign is in the on stage, right, you see open parking. You can see visibly that parking is available, and it directs you to that lot. Or you might be one of the 50% of drivers that look for parking online. And then you would see that us advertise in the current marketplaces, or you would come to our own marketplace, and then that would direct you to the lot and the availability there.
Okay, and 2 quick follow-ons. How do you deal with enforcement if I decide to stay there for 3 days instead of 3 hours? And what if my car gets broken into from a liability perspective with the owner of the lot?
Certainly. I'll take the first one there. So enforcement's a 2-piece problem. The first is the identifying it, and that's going to be handled by our computer vision system. The second one is penalizing you if you park there too long. And that's something that we're still testing in our pilots, or that we look to test in our pilots. But options that we're looking to explore is physical and electronic ticketing right through the app, potentially booting or towing the vehicles. But the key to this is that we need to have a system that keeps our hosts happy. Sure, it would suck if we do something that makes our users unhappy and we lose them, but it's more important for us to keep our hosts happy and make sure that they're part of our ecosystem.
And then when it comes to liabilities, when you go and park in that lot, you'll be accepting terms and agreements. But if there is an incident that happens, similar to other lots, you notifying us. And one thing that we're able to keep our costs so low is we're not pulling our videos into the cloud initially. So we would then be able to pull the video and assist you to figure out what happened. But in the end of the day, that lot still belongs to the host. So the area of responsibility belongs to them when it comes to some of the safety features with that. Yep.
Yeah, quick question. I know you mentioned in your competitors, like I noticed Spot Hero, I've used them before. Mm-hmm. Are you trying to displace like traditional parking garages or unlock different types of parking? Because I'm just a little confused on whether or not this is a direct competitor to something like this or something that could be integrated into another platform like Spot Hero.
It's more like an auxiliary competitor is how I'd see them, because they are a marketplace, but our goal is to unlock new parking potential initially. I think long term, we could see them as a more direct competitor, but they don't have the capabilities right now to market for a church, to say, hey, this church has 24 spots available. But in the future, I think when we transition to traditional firms, we could compete against them.
Yeah, I think Spot Hero actually started off similarly in peer-to-peer parking, but moved very quickly into parking garages. But I think your approach might work in the way that you could go for these traditional parking spots alternatives and then work with Spot Hero to kind of get on their platform as well, rather than trying to directly compete with them.
And that's one thing, actually, a lot of those firms up there, they all started as software approaches to this problem. We are one of the first firms to ever do hardware with it. Air Garage also tried hardware, but COVID kind of knocked their plan out the window, and they now use traditional firms. So I think a post-COVID market targeting specifically churches, because I haven't seen that done yet, is a breakthrough market that we are excited to explore.
Have you guys conducted or planning on conducting location studies? So where you look and you say churches are X amount away from retail hubs?
So that 3% estimate that I initially did was basing U.S. Census Bureau to me in Google Maps picking and doing that analysis in Pittsburgh and then looking at local cities. I think as we progress, we'll be able to do it a little more aggressively, but that's how our initial projections have been done.
We had a really great slide up there with your hardware. So could we just go back to your slide real quick? I mean, I love this. This is so creative, and I just kind of wonder, like, what is that capable of doing? And just tell us about that a little bit more.
Yes. So one thing when it comes to lots, they come in all shapes and sizes. So this flagship product you see up front, this is more or less the hub that you'll potentially see at a lot. When we talk about computer vision, there might need to be more cameras. There might need to be more signs. But when it comes to internet connectivity, having one point of entry and one hub makes computing power a lot cheaper and allows us to do a lot more at a lower level. So our project is modular, but it's kind of based around those core principles.
Thank you very much, Adam. Good job. We do a lot of events here at the Sports Center. We actually do over 100 a year. 80 of them are run by the Sports Center, but 20 of them are done with community partners. Couldn't do any of it without the Sports Center's patron program. It's a new program that we've rolled out this past year that allows companies that are interested in supporting entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship to sponsor every single one of our programs. So today with us, we have Headstorm, Matt, who stand up. He's a software development company based here in Pittsburgh. We have TD Cowen, an investment bank, Kyle Solomon, who's with us today. Is there anybody else that's a patron that I missed? I looked out through the crowd to see if I could see anybody else. If you're interested in becoming a patron and supporting all of the programs that we do here at the Sports Center, including the McGinnis Venture Competition, please let us know. We're down to the last three. And this is, I think the HiredHome were the winner of the Hack a Startup competition back in the fall. And a lot of great CMU companies. You heard a lot about artificial intelligence. Maybe the next ChatGPT OpenAI company is amongst these guys. Let's find out by welcoming HiredHome.
Hi, thank you for having us. Before I get started, who's heard of ChatGPT? All right, I'm just kidding. Everyone has, right? All right, so let's get in. I'm Ranadeep Singh, presenting on behalf of HiredHome, which stands for Hyper-Personalized AI-Generated Communication. So the reason we're doing this is that sales outreach today is a $1 trillion industry. To be more specific, $6.7 trillion back in 2021 itself. So with HiredHome, we promise that we can make the sales outreach and communication better and faster using AI to generate personalized emails and messages and all sorts of communication that you can think of. So think of cold email speeds, but with the nuance of personalized emails. And we do this by developing a proprietary CRM system where we store all the information that exists out there between the salesperson and the clients, and we we structure that unstructured data and store it, and even scrape the web footprint of our clients to see how to generate personalized emails in an automated fashion. So before we get more in, let me tell you about our team. So we're a team of 3 graduate students studying MS in artificial intelligence. We all graduate next month, so we've done our time at CMU now. We've worked at these brilliant companies before. Before my 3-year tech stint, I worked at 2 years at Red Bull in a sales and marketing position. My teammate here, Ilyas here, he's sponsored by National Science Foundation. More on that in a bit, and also he's an ML researcher at MITRE. Alex here is a nationally renowned software engineer, worked at some brilliant companies like Google and Blue River. Together, we've spent almost 2 years now in the same program, and we've had some successful projects in the past. We won a hackathon together, published a research paper on ML last summer, and presented it in Korea. And in November, we won Hacker Startup, and since then, we've built out more things of the product. So you'll see today. Let me tell you about the scenario. So one of our target customers, Sam the salesman, he spends his time using CRM and automated tools from Salesforce and HubSpot, whatnot. And he has to manually spend a lot of time writing his own emails, follow-ups, and whatnot. Most of his salary and compensation is in terms of incentives, so roughly $50,000 in US. And like him, there are 2.4 million such salespeople out there in the US. And with the industry churn rate of 35%, such salespeople have to start from scratch when they move companies every 3 years or when they get a new account. So we want to fix all of these issues. Like Sam, the same problem is faced by marketers and entrepreneurs, this dilemma of quick and fast cold emails versus a better response rate with personalized emails. So the way we do this is, if it's an initial outreach, we scan people's web footprint, so maybe a LinkedIn profile of that target customer. So instead of a cold template email, we know something about them to get started. We give it to a generative language model, like GPT-4 for now, and we send personalized outreach messages. But then we go 2 steps beyond. We import the existing B2B company's CRM from Salesforce or HubSpot, get that information in about the relationship with the client, past transactions and whatnot. And then we also give structure to their email messages and past client communication to know, okay, how did they meet this client? So when a new sales rep comes, they have a head start to know how the relationship is made, what the communication cadence is preferred by the clients, twice a week or whatnot. And then we pass it to our system, and we build this augmented CRM database. This is an example of how our product works. So this is phase 1, where we're able to scan LinkedIn. So as Alex Lee, like the system read that Alex Lee's profile because he's logged in, it's able to generate a LinkedIn connection request for me. So if Alex writes, hey, we met at a job fair, we can write, hey, we have ML in common, we met at the job fair, let's connect. And similarly, we can do for a lot of circumstances. But this is just a quick example because I'm limited to 6 minutes. Now you'll ask me, how do we know there's demand for this? So we've done a lot of customer interviews. In the last 10 days alone, my teammate Ilyas was down there in Austin attending South by Southwest, sponsored by National Science Foundation. He did more than 120 customer interviews there alone. And out of that, 82% people were very excited about this and are ready to pay. So the day we launch, we have at least 100 customers. How we make money, right? It's a venture competition. Let's tell you how we make money. So we have 2 stages. First stage, bottom-up SaaS. So we're in that stage, and as you see, we have a prototype ready to launch. Here is the subscription-based pricing. Tier 2 will be a B2B CRM integration, as we spoke about, how we build an augmented CRM system. This will be targeted to larger companies where we see a lot more revenue coming in. And here, we log all the POCs and salespeople's relationship history with their clients. These are very, very conservative financials. We know in a business competition, financials are very important. But this is based on the fact that if we bootstrap the company with no venture funding, this is how we can do. So we estimate 50% margins and a tier pricing of $20 or $40 subscription. We'll be profitable from day 1 because of the great margins. And our main cost will be just handling this system and serving our clients. The competition in the AI space is growing, but it's in the sense of a lot of companies building automated solutions or highly personalized solutions like Microsoft's Copilot, but no one's giving you best of both worlds. A salesperson today has to prompt every single time for the million emails that they send, which is not sustainable, not automated. So these tools are great, but HubSpot, of course, is very automated, but the personalization is lacking there. You have to manually write it. Even though you have the history, you have to use your own mind to do that. So that's where HiredHome has the best of both worlds. So in summary, we can generate personalized individual emails for every single customer. It takes the same time to send 1 or a million emails just in 10 seconds. We're building a proprietary augmented CRM database of customer relationship history that currently exists only in the salesperson's mind. So we can do this without them having to manually type it out or enter it into our database. We can just extract that.
All right, we're going to stop right there and turn it over to the judges for questions.
Yeah. So who's ready to get hyper with HiredHome? Thank you.
Have you prototyped this? Like, have you, like, tell us about how have you modeled this thus far? Some case studies would be helpful.
So you want to take this?
Yeah, so in the customer discovery, when I was down at South by Southwest, I was able to talk to hundreds of people. And in doing that, we found out that they were very interested in the solution, and word for word, without any bias involved in the prompting, they were able to describe that they have the exact same problem of trying to find a way to create these emails that are not cold, because when people get these random emails, it feels like you haven't paid any attention and you don't know what you're talking about. So that's the modeling that we've done so far. It's from just a customer discovery perspective and understanding that there's demand for the problem we're working on.
Do you have any idea how you're going to scale it from understanding how to address me and then addressing 500 me's that are in this room? What are some of your ideas there?
So I can take that. So I have some past experience working with Red Bull for 2 years in sales and marketing. So I have a little bit of understanding, but our main driving factor will be core development with some organizations. So we plan to tie up with a few larger firms for sales and marketing, maybe some insurance clients, maybe some real estate firms. All of these are niches in sales industry. And co-develop the product with them so that not only are we getting their feedback, but we're able to develop really quickly. So I think that'll be our growth strategy to expand into those big industries.
So I saw you mention that your kind of major applications through an extension, right? So my question is how are you going to integrate with kind of recruiter and sales specific tools, especially those that have to be downloaded, mandated by the company, because those are very common in the sales field right now.
Yeah. So the Chrome extension was our prototype, and that was for stage 1, where we want a proof of concept, where we want to show people that, hey, this is what we're building. Are you interested? What do you think? So we've gotten great response there, and it's like Chrome extension for one person, personalized generation, but we also have a web app where you can do it in an automated fashion for multiple people. And exactly for larger businesses, that's our stage 2, where we want to import data from their CRM, give them this database that only belongs to them, and give them structure and let them do that all on their company-approved laptop and everything.
So if I use HubSpot, right? You are in stage 2. Are you integrating? Is it an API? How are you getting that data?
Okay, so HubSpot and Salesforce, they have a lot of third-party app support. So we can get that data by importing. So if you give us the approval, we can just get all of that data, import it out, and then we add these additional fields, which is okay, how do you know this person? Where did you meet? What's the weekly cadence? And a bunch of these factors that we extract from your emails and all this unstructured data that just exists out there in your emails.
You're using that data to build a separate database?
Yes, that only belongs to you, still.
So that's being, I store that.
You don't have to manually write it. Of course, we take care of storage and maintaining the database. But in terms of data privacy, that belongs to the organization that we're working with. So we won't sell that data to a competitor or anything like that. So think of it as an augmented CRM database for your database itself.
And just to expand a little bit more on what the database includes, if you imagine that there's someone you want to connect with and you don't know them, ideally you'd like to understand as much as you can about them prior to making that connection. You might follow them on social media. You might look at their blog post. This is something that we can automate. And so that's going to be encapsulated and consolidated in the database.
I usually don't ask this question, but I mean, this feels like an obvious thing for Salesforce or HubSpot to do or to be working on. So I guess, how are you going to differentiate for that, or how do you defend from that?
Sure. So one event I was attending at CMU where a speaker said a very brilliant thing, that companies today are so scared to innovate because they fear that they're going to eat their own product. So in a lot of cases, companies don't innovate. And second, it's also about being at the right place at the right time. So we see a lot of these generative tools just come out. A lot of these are built for everyone. Like, anyone can use it, but it requires manual prompting. So it's about like adding that extra layer, that how do you extract that unstructured data out of there? How do you use that unstructured data to write that personalized email? So it's a combination of time to market, it's a combination of daring to innovate and just doing it,
To follow up on Jim's question about this crowded space that you've focused on, I don't know about you, but election season has started. I'm getting spammed all the time. I wonder if a use case around political campaigns might be, there's so much public data, a lot of money spent in the next year and a half, maybe something to consider.
That's a really good point. I spoke with the press in my discovery as well, and they did mention that they had this problem as well. So I do think.
Just to be fair to everybody. Great job, guys. Thank you very, very much. We're down to our final two teams. So we've seen a lot of really quality companies today solving real world problems, and we're going to see a couple more of those. What continually amazes me about Carnegie Mellon is, and I said this a little bit earlier, so you might have heard me before, but there's a lot of new people in the room. 3,000 of the smartest people in the world come here every year. To me, it's like a metaphorical renewable energy source. And what's so special about Carnegie Mellon is that our campus footprint is so small, you can get almost anywhere on campus in about 5 minutes, which leads to interdisciplinary collaboration. And if you think about what a startup team needs, we have a sign right outside the door there. It needs hackers, hustlers, and designers, right? The hackers build the products, the hustlers get out and talk to the customers, the designers are the glue people, glue it all together, right? That's interdisciplinary. And one of the relatively newer programs on campus is at the MRSD program. It's just celebrated its 10th anniversary, has been a great partner with the Schwartz Center over the years. And this team here is helping to solve one of the toughest springtime problems that we face in the city of Pittsburgh, those damn potholes. Here you go, ReRoad.
All right, hello everyone, thank you for coming. We are ReRoad Robotics, and we are here to revolutionize the roadway maintenance industry. We're a pavement maintenance company leveraging robotics for improved cost, safety, and efficiency of roadway repairs. So if you're a driver in Pittsburgh or probably anywhere else, you're most likely familiar with roads like this that are covered in cracks and potholes, damage your car, make you late for work. Now, our roads are a major thoroughfare for the billions of people across the globe, and they require constant upkeep to keep them constantly open for all the drivers to use them. One of the main ways that roads fail is when water seeps through cracks in the pavement and then gets down into the subgrade, and then through temperature and weather cycles, eventually fails under the pressure from traffic. It's the water going through these cracks that result in potholes and eventually complete road failures that require extremely expensive repairs. In 2016, the Pennsylvania DOT spent over $35 million on the pothole repair alone. Not to mention that the roads need to be partially or even fully closed down so that manual crews can go and work next to busy traffic in order to make these repairs. This is an industry ripe for innovation. Now, it's well known and well documented and researched to road owners that doing preventative maintenance can provide 6 to 14 times the cost savings compared to overhauling complete repairs. But oftentimes, these repairs are not done to the extent necessary. Why is this the case?
Thank you, Alex. Well, the reason it's not always done, if you can, thank you. The reason it's not always done is because we're currently caught in a cycle of costs, where basically expensive and time-consuming repairs are always prioritized, because of course the roads need to be maintained to be actually used at any point in time. However, that means there's a huge amount of lack of funding for all the rest of the road systems. And over time, those roads degrade faster and faster, leading to a larger and larger backlog, meaning to more and more prioritizing expensive repairs, meaning overall we're spending more money for low-quality roads. On top of that, this work is just generally, it's dull, it's dirty, and it's dangerous. Legitimately, we have people working hard days on fast-moving roads, doing tough work with very hazardous materials. It is exactly where ReRoad Robotics comes in. What we're planning to do is deploy enhanced road crews with robotic technology to improve worker safety and to enhance productivity in the roadway maintenance industry. See, the way this is going to be done is that you would imagine a self-contained tow-behind trailer being operated by one single operator continuously driving around the road at 1 to 2 miles per hour, where a robotic system will autonomously both detect and seal the roads. The way it would do this, it would be able to both blow out the road cracks with hot air and pressurized air, apply a robotic sealant to seal the cracks, and then apply a detacking solution which automatically sets the sealant immediately, allowing cars to drive on the sealed roads immediately, not requiring road closures. Here's a general idea of showcasing sort of what the general sort of rough structure of this would look like, with a self-contained trailer with a robotic gantry and other peripherals allowing this robotic system to occur. Here's an example of some road detection systems we're working on, showing how cracks can be detected on the road in a live fashion that is then sent into the rest of the sealant system for autonomous repair.
With our technology, we can provide companies and customers with preventative maintenance at an unprecedented scale due to improvements in safety, material and operational efficiency, and labor requirements. Expanding our operations, we can then address the problems at the root cause, thereby saving our customers a lot of time and money by not needing repairs. The market is massive and allows for us to have big, natural, organic growth, giving us space to grow from a local crack sealing company all the way to a global roadway preventative maintenance company, while in tandem, we'll be developing and expanding our core capabilities to include pothole filling and more. To enter the market and break in, we'll first target the private lots and areas, such as parking lots. These give us a lower risk environment to prove our technology, build customer relationships, and develop an industry reputation. Then, we'll target the public contracts and bid for them, which include roads and highways. These will allow us to enter the larger market. We have garnered significant interest from public and private entities alike, who have shown keen interest in continuing to keep in touch with us as we continue to grow our company. Additionally, we've also began securing LOIs, letters of intent, with several of these entities.
Thanks, Ryan. So as an initial revenue stream, we will be directly pursuing these road repair contracts, and we'll be pricing this at 80 cents per foot of operation. This will allow us to undercut our competitors by more than 40%. Additionally, when we consider a very conservative robot cost of $250,000, this will allow us to achieve a less than 30-day payback period. In terms of our financials, our year one is going to predominantly focus on really building out our technology and testing out the capabilities of our system, while also securing initial contracts in the private sector. This will allow us to achieve profitability early on in year two, and then reinvest those profits into scaling up our robot fleet. But finally, by year three, we'll be able to be well set up into acquiring more and more customers in the private sector, as well as expanding to the public markets. Now, our team consists of 4 extremely talented robotics students here at CMU, the Robotics Institute, with an already proven track record of having worked extensively together on construction robotics technologies. We have a wide array of experiences at a number of different companies, and ultimately, we are well prepared to take on these challenges of robotic road maintenance. If we were to secure the funding from this competition, we would utilize that to furthermore invest in our existing customer relations, as well as build up the prototype such that we can then perform demos and LOIs for our private customers. We are ReRoad Robotics, and we're refreshing America's roads. Thank you.
You mentioned in that process the part about the detacking immediately.
Yes, we did.
Why don't they do that now?
They do that to some extent right now. However, because the sort of the manual process requires them to sort of go at a much more slow manual pace, with people sort of slowly filling them up foot by foot because they're manually applying the asphalt, there's not so much of an advantage because they're already having to close the roads because of the sort of worker safety elements. If we're able to sort of increase the efficiency with the robotics, we're also able to take advantage of these other solutions.
And do you envision, as you might be able to do work with PennDOT or other state agencies, encountering any issues with union workers?
That's a great question. So we've talked to a bunch of both private and public entities, and we've learned that particularly in the road maintenance industry, this crack and joint sealing is particularly laborsome and troubling for people. It is actually known to be quite a dangerous job with several fatalities in Pennsylvania alone each year, and it's something that we could really help on. So people don't want to do this job. And on top of that, it's actually been shown, particularly from the public perspective we've talking to PennDOT and others, that they have a severe labor shortage. So not only are we sort of reducing the labor requirements, but we're actually allowing them to expand the capabilities to beyond what they're currently able to do.
Anyone on your team actually have any road maintenance or construction experience?
Yeah. So I mean, none of us have specifically worked in construction exactly. So one of the first major hires that we'd be making is someone related to business development who has experience, maybe 20 years of experience in contracting with private or public agencies for roads specifically, ideally.
On the equipment side, I was wondering if you've thought about your unit going into, let's say, construction equipment reseller market, if they're going to sell your product or your technology versus you guys doing it yourself. I was intrigued by your comment. It was global roadway maintenance company, and I'm kind of thinking more like, okay, you're creating an interesting technology. That's a big leap to go from one to the next. How do you think about that?
So I think for one thing, just to speak a little bit high level, is that we have this sort of vision of how this autonomy can really help maintenance across many, many fields. We're really start sticking with roads. Right now, there's a huge amount of degradation in the infrastructure across the United States, but across the entire world because there's not enough money to do so. So we're thinking that autonomy will really be a big catalyst towards this. And this is kind of why we think this could scale beyond just selling a single piece of equipment. We can really scale and expand our capabilities as well as we scale up our actual market sizing.
What's the toughest piece to build for you guys? You've got a lot of pieces to put together here. What's going to be the toughest?
Yeah, so I think honestly the coolest thing about this is that none of the technology elements are impossible. We're not talking about trying to develop self-driving, realistically. And because of that, we think that it's really about the system, clever system design, and the way we apply it to a novel problem. And we are all coming from the robotic systems design masters, and that is really what we've been trying to focus on. We've worked on construction robotic systems for several years working on this kind of thing. So we think the real key difficulty will actually come in the integration and making sure we work with customers effectively to make sure we sort of understand their requirements.
What do you view, what do you view your mix of government versus private when it comes to contracts?
Yeah, so great question. So as we mentioned, our initial approach will be towards pursuing these private markets because there is a bit of a lower barrier to entry in terms of just regulation, as well as being an approved bidder for becoming a public contractor will require some previous background in proving out some of these technologies, and some of the private work that we do in that sector can be allocated towards that. So definitely we're viewing the private sector as a initial step towards this growth towards the public market, but also a substantial element of market capture that we can develop this product for. Yeah.
Trying to understand where you are with sort of testing feasibility or prototyping. Like, for example, that video you showed with the vision, so would you need to be able to cover that as you drive? What level of accuracy or precision do you need to have? And have you thought about how it works operationally? Are you still going to have to close the roads or those type of things?
Yeah, great question. So in terms of your question about accuracy and precision, from what we've garnered from our customer interviews that we've done so far, there isn't a substantial, precise quantitative metric that they judge the performance of crack sealing. It's really more of a visual check. It's really qualitative, does the crack look like it's been sealed? And so for those reasons, the bar for having extremely high precision is not really that much of an issue. Yeah, I guess hopefully that answers your question. But yeah.
Thank you. You'll get an opportunity to ask questions to them tonight at the award ceremony. So great job, guys. Thank you. Yeah. The worst part about this job is having to be the bad guy. I could listen to these guys go on forever and ever. They're all amazing. Boy, we're down to the last company tonight. Is it going to be hard to pick 3 winners? Oh my gosh, judges, you have a really hard. But here's the amazing thing. We've built this pipeline of opportunities for these companies. And we had 10 presenters tonight. There's going to be 3 winners. But no one's a loser because we have programs like the Venture Bridge, which is a pre-seed investment fund here at the Swartz Center that supports alumni companies. Many of these graduate students that you've seen tonight are in their last year of graduate school. They've had to make the hard decision of going to work for the man or going to work for themselves. And we want to give them the ability to not have to make that bad decision and go to work for somebody else, to be able to work for themselves. So if you know any alumni companies that has at least one CMU founder, please let us know, because they can participate in the Venture Bridge program. The number one hardest problem that I see that startups have, and they have lots of challenges and problems, is finding the right co-founder. But a close second is finding the right technical employees to join your company. And the right one is solving that problem.
So hi, I'm Thomas, and this is Erica, and we're Right One. We provide automated candidate sourcing. So the number one problem that companies have, as Dave alluded to, is that sourcing qualified candidates is inefficient and costly. During the hiring boom of the past several years, companies have hired large internal recruiting teams to meet growing headcount demand. However, when hiring slows down, like right now, they're in a difficult position where you have to lay recruiters off. This is a huge PR hit, and it's a huge hassle to hire and fire recruiters depending on the state of the economy. But alternative solutions such as recruiting agencies are even more expensive. It can cost you up to $50,000 or more per hire. And posting jobs is time consuming, since you have to filter through so many unqualified candidate applications. Our solution is an AI-based virtual sourcer that completely automates the sourcing process for companies. So how does this actually work? First, you log onto our dashboard and tell us exactly what position you're looking to hire for. Then you fill out a questionnaire, and then you tell us what you're looking for in that ideal candidate, and then we'll go ahead and find that right candidate for you. A lot of success in recruiting is timing. You need to reach out to someone at the exact right time when they've just decided to start looking for a new opportunity before they get into the interview process with too many different companies. Our system uses a proprietary algorithm of dozens of different indicators to predict exactly when someone is likely to make a move. So I wanted to show a product demo of our initial prototype so you can see the product in action. So first, we're going to go to our Right One website, and we're going to log in. And here, we're going to look for a senior software engineer. And the first thing we're going to do on the search page is we're going to upload a job description from my former employer, Zoom. And we're going to be looking for someone with either Ruby on Rails or Python experience. And we support 5 locations initially, so we're going to pick Pittsburgh, since we are in Pittsburgh here after all. And we want someone senior with 8+ years of experience and someone with enterprise experience, so we're going to click search. So this is a demo version of our account. So it's going to show you the whole search and outreach process, but in our customer account, this whole process is actually going to be completely automated. So this is a list of candidates that the system has identified that are a strong fit for the position and also likely to make a move. So in this case, we're going to send an email to Vanessa here. And this is an example of an email that our generative AI would write that's fully customized and fully personalized to Vanessa to maximize the response rate. And if you look on the lower left-hand side, it even predicts the best times to send an email to maximize response rates. So after Vanessa responds, you'll receive a custom profile where you can review information we've collected over the web from either GitHub or her personal website. And if you like what you see, simply click the green interview button and we'll automatically schedule a call. It's like sourcing, but on autopilot. Right One replaces human sorcerers and you only need to hire when you have to. It's cost effective since it's up to 10 times cheaper than recruiting agencies, and improves time to hire because it quadruples candidate response rates, so you get stronger quality candidates faster. We've done nearly 70 customer discovery interviews, from startups to recruiters at large enterprise companies, to validate the need for this solution and gauge willingness to pay. Since launching last week, we've had numerous startups sign up for a demo, and we're in the process right now of negotiating a contract with a potential first pilot customer with a biotech startup. We have a SaaS-based business model, and our initial customer base will be technology startups before we move up market to enterprise companies and acquiring customers in other fields such as healthcare and energy. Our initial price per open position we're projecting to be $5,000, and we're projecting our initial ACV to be $20,000 with a goal of hitting $70 million in ARR in 7 years. The global online recruitment market is actually very massive, but it's highly fragmented. There's no industry leader in sourcing software solutions, and we plan on becoming that industry leader by introducing a product that's exponentially better than everything else. When compared to our competitors, like recruiting agencies and contractors, we're up to 10 times cheaper. When compared to other generative AI email writers like Copy.ai or HyperWrite, we're actually completely automated, so you don't need a human sorcerer to operate it. And when compared to direct competitors like Dever, we actually look across the entire internet for candidates, not just LinkedIn. And some of the best engineers in the world aren't on LinkedIn, so we can find candidates that our competitors don't even know exist. We're also the only solution to use predictive technology in a more likely to move feature, and we're the only solution to use generative AI to write custom emails from scratch to maximize our response rates, whereas our competitors can't get them to respond. And most importantly, we have a founder who's led recruiting before. If your car broke down in the middle of the road, wouldn't you call a professional mechanic to solve that problem? Of course you would, but our competitors have never worked in recruiting before. And our approach is fundamentally different because we're introducing a solution that's basically my proprietary recruiting process and turning it into a technology solution. And when you look at the generative AI landscape right now, the marketing and sales and customer support fields are super crowded with tons of competitors. But there's no major recruiting solution, and we plan on filling the gap in this market. Our founding team consists of early-stage leaders in multiple successful technology companies. I bring the recruiting expertise. My co-founder, Andreas, is a former coworker of mine I've known for 12 years, who's one of the world's leading experts in predictive analytics and artificial intelligence, and ran risk engineering at PayPal, and was already a successful technical co-founder. And Erica brings the finance and venture capital experience. And with the $25,000 from McGinnis, we want to finish product development and launch paid pilots. Thank you.
When someone's likely to move, and I also wonder if people would pay, or if you've thought about people paying for you to notify them someone's likely to move so they can prevent it.
We haven't, so there's a couple things there. That's a great idea, but so when it comes to getting customers right now, the recruiting budget is a lot, the willingness to pay for recruiting is significantly higher than HR. It's very hard to get HR budget from companies. I know from personal experience, trying to negotiate HR budget from my CFO. So we're going to try to attack recruiting first, and we do think that, and I think I wrote about it in my business plan about coaching network software, so we do want to eventually use a lot of these technologies for HR, but initially we want to target recruiting because of willingness to pay, and right now that's what, and especially in the economy right now, trying to get HR budget is going to be very difficult.
So how did you determine the indicators, right? And then are they can you customize this? So if I am a company and I'm looking, there are particular soft skills that are really important to me.
So you can customize those. So those are, okay, so if you're trying to recruit for a certain candidate, this is just our initial prototype. So we are going to have soft skills, things that you can, questionnaire that you can fill out, and we're going to try to find that information for you. In terms that are more likely to move, that's static. It's just based off my personal experience. So one example I like to give is that if you look on GitHub, right? If an engineer is doesn't do anything and all of a sudden starts committing code, they're almost always open to looking for a new job. And we can collect that data just through a GitHub API, for example, right? So GitHub has something called watching. So the REST API actually gives you a notification when there's activity on a repository. So we collect that data and we use that as one of the indicators in our prediction algorithm. And then we look at all the indicators and then we decide, or the algorithm decides what's more, if this candidate is likely to make a move or not.
How will you determine that for different functions? So
yes.
Finance, sales.
Yeah, so that's something we have to work on. Right now, it's just engineering. We're going to have to scrape information from, so honestly, Facebook and LinkedIn APIs are really hard to work with. So that's why right now we have an integration with GitHub and Stack Overflow, because the API documentation is fairly rich and it's easier to work with. So that's why we're doing engineers now. To get that information in the future for finance, sales, we're going to have to build a bot to scrape data on that. But right now, that's another reason why we're targeting engineers, market demand, and also ease of integration with data sources.
You had a pretty robust competitive landscape slide. I don't recall on there seeing applicant tracking software types of solutions. I think in your plan you might have referenced Workday. There's some big players, small players out there that are targeting small, medium-sized businesses like SMBs, to use that acronym. Did you consider those in your landscape?
No, so I think applicant tracking systems they don't do outbound sourcing. So right now we're not doing inbound for the time being. So So right now, we're actually going to find candidates. So we're not like looking like company like Eightfold AI, for example. They look at your database of existing candidates. So we don't do inbound leads at all. Right now, we're going to find candidates for you. So that's our value proposition. We'll go find the candidates that you want. We don't wait for them to come to you. Hiring is one of the most important things you can do for a company. And applicant tracking systems manage like candidates that apply for your job posting. And for us, we're going to go find those candidates for you. So I don't necessarily consider applicant tracking systems to be like a direct competitor. There are applicant tracking systems who are probably going to potentially launch a feature down the road. But right now, they're focused on inbound leads only.
You should kick off your presentation with that, right? Like, the best candidates don't come to you. You need to go find them.
Yes.
Right. That's your huge flip that you need to gain clarity on for people right up front.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah.
If you're sort of replacing the recruiters, I mean, what they do is the sourcing, but also nurturing, and maybe sometimes even helping close on a candidate. How do you close that loop? Or is your solution going to handle all of that, and even making sure that ultimately that the company, if they use your product, hires the person that you get paid?
Yeah, so initially, we're going to replace specifically the sourcing function only. So automating the outreach to candidates. So that's our initial application. So we're not going to be helping with closing. Down the road, we do want to become a coaching network software company down the road. I wrote about that in great detail. So eventually, we want to provide coaching network software to help recruiters and hiring managers close candidates, provide a good candidate experience, design an interview process. But right now, but that product is going to be harder to sell. So we want to point solution sourcing software. Then eventually we want to upsell those customers once we acquire them.
Cut it off right there. Thank you very, very much. Startups out there, McGinnis participants, let Right One help you find the right one. I told you I was full of bad jokes. All right. Thank you all very, very much. Many of you stuck it out for 15 of these presentations. That's pretty amazing. Really appreciate you doing that, supporting the Carnegie Mellon, the Schwartz Center, the Project Olympus ecosystem. We are going to ask you to clear the room until 5:30 because we're going to remake this room into a party room and have an award ceremony. You're welcome to come back at 5:30. We have food, we have drinks. There's a lot to do on campus here. It's a really small campus, like I said. You could literally walk to the other side of campus in 5 minutes. 5 minutes back if that looks like the weather's great out there. You can go check out the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry right there behind us, or just walk through this building. It's a beautiful new building. But thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll see you back here at 5:30.